Williamson, Inc. serves as Williamson County's Chamber of Commerce and Office of Economic Development. In partnership with the Williamson Herald, WBKM Radio, they brought together Meet the Candidates, an interview series open to all candidates for this office to help inform the community. During these conversations, candidates will share their views, and I may also share some of my own opinions as part of the discussion. Those opinions are my own and do not necessarily reflect the views of Williamson, Inc., the Williamson Herald, WBKM, or any organizations involved in hosting this series. You can find additional voter resources, including these interviews and written candidate profiles, at williamsonchamber.com/vote. Donna Clements is the only incumbent on the Williamson County Board of Education. Now, only half of them are running.
That's right.
The even number.
That's correct.
Districts are running. But out of those four, 3 incumbents decided, I'm not running. You decided you are running.
That's right. That's right.
Why?
Well, I'm passionate about education, and I have loved serving my community. And with my background in education and my expertise, I really want to continue to serve what I started 4 years ago. And actually, it's 6. There's 6 of us, and so 5 are not running again. And I think some of them have been on the board for a while. So I've enjoyed learning from all of them. So and Drayson, is running for
County Commission.
Yes.
The next question automatically was going to be about your career. You are a professional educator with Metro, right?
No. I taught in Nashville, and I taught before my kids were born. And when my kids were born, I started to be a stay-at-home mom. And so, but I taught. And so what's wild is back in the 90s, landing your first teaching gig was a big deal, and not it wasn't easy. And so that was my desire to teach in Metro Nashville. That's where I live, and it was just hard to get a job back then. And so I ended up going to the private sector. So that's where I ended up, and then I stayed home with all my kids.
There was a time, especially in the 80s, maybe in the early 90s, that Metro was the ultimate school system in Tennessee. Now who is?
Well, you know the answer to that. We are.
What happened?
I think, back around that time, the 80s and 90s, I was so impressed that Williamson County put such a focus on high standards for education. They really, they focused on making our schools the best. And I think we've done a fabulous job. And I want to continue to lend my expertise to help that going forward.
Being a Williamson County School Board member is unique. You have come such a long way just in the last 4 years. Is it the same job that you had and ran for 4 years ago? It seems like the issues are so different now. Everything from cell phones to textbooks to it's not just the Tennessee tenure law.
That's right. We have I have really enjoyed serving, and every month it's something new. So I've just stayed focused on what's coming up next and learning as much as I can about it. And I've thoroughly enjoyed that. In fact, one of the things I do is every month I meet with Superintendent Golden, and we spend about an hour and going over issues. And so that's been really helpful. I've enjoyed learning from my colleagues. And so that has been I've really enjoyed that. And, but that's what makes it kind of exciting. It goes from cell phones to all sorts of things. Now is walkouts, so.
Well, let's talk about that for just a moment, because it is a current issue. When you talk about, first of all, you're not supposed to talk about high school students. But sometimes they can do things in a very public way, and it winds up in the news.
Mm-hmm.
100 students from Brentwood,
Mm-hmm.
50 students from Ravenwood.
Mm-hmm.
I guess maybe we're not out of the woods yet because there are several more high schools. Walked out over a current issue, and it really doesn't matter what the issue is. It can be disruptive. Yes, we have freedom of speech. Even a high school student has freedom of speech, but freedom is not free.
Mm-hmm.
There is a price to pay.
Mm-hmm.
If you want, fine. Here's what's going to happen.
Right.
It's also life. How did Williamson County react to those two incidents? I believe you probably knew they were coming. And what has happened since then?
So I was actually in Jason's office when we found out about the Brent one coming. It was a couple hours beforehand, and so as far as how we've handled it, we've looked at policy. I've learned a lot about this, and you probably know this, but back in the 60s, there was a Supreme Court case, Tinker versus the Des Moines School District. And one of the things they came out and said is that students don't lose their First Amendment rights when they walk through the school gates. And but they can't make it a disruption to education and learning. So we've kind of talked about, I've talked about, especially to the TSBA General Counsel, maybe we need to look at a policy putting in some guardrails where here's when you can protest, here's when you can't leave campus. That causes a lot of issues. At the end of the day, safety is paramount for me. And, if a child's not safe, he or she can't learn, so safety is paramount to me in my platform and everything I do. So, but we just want to keep them safe so they can continue to protest the rest of their lives. Because, I don't know about you, but when I was in high school, I had a voice, and I want our students to have a voice. We just need to have the right avenues and guardrails for that.
Many of these students, and we understand that it's handled on a campus by campus situation. Mm-hmm. Actually, individual by individual with the school principal. That's the way it ought to be. From that standpoint, many of these students had their parents' permission, mm-hmm. and in a few instances, parents' participation. Mm-hmm. Should the parents pay a price, or is the child paying the price enough?
Well, I think we just need to have more uniformity, and that is where that was the policies that we were looking at. Is like we need to have a uniform from school to school, and Lee Webb, Dr. Webb has been great at the secondary level, helping guide us in the best ways to ensure that.
Our expectations of Williamson County schools. From a business owner's perspective, it's hard to understand. We get such amazing results. I have no doubt it's the best school system in Tennessee, but we're 10th, 11th, 12th in what we pay. There are other systems that don't get what we get that pay more, which presents a problem sometimes of stealing teachers. Mm-hmm. How do we get those results? Now, we are paying more, we are paying better, and there are other attributes of teaching in Williamson County schools rather than money. But it's the way of the world. That's what we look at.
Mm-hmm. So for me, one of the things that from day one when I started on the school board is paying our teachers more. We need to not be losing teachers to other school districts. And when a couple of years ago, a year ago, we were at 27th in the state. And like you said, we're now at 11th in the state. I want to keep moving us up. But that is paramount to me, is paying them more. We've got another 4% raise coming down the pike from the mayor. And so I just want to continue that the teachers really focus in on the teachers, because what happens when you do a percent raise on everybody's salary, and we've done that year over year, this 7%, mm-hmm. We're going to do 6% this year. But when you have your higher paid employees, getting a 4%, 5%. They move up, 5% on $300,000 is a lot more than 5% on $60,000. So I would love to talk to the mayor more about strategic pay raises and getting our teachers up to the top. That's really paramount.
We're getting a new mayor.
Yes, we are.
Should these people already be in mayor school? Should Rogers Anderson be conducting of how to be a mayor of Williamson County School? Because he has a relationship with the school board, with the superintendent. They communicate, and generally what he has in mind, that's generally what happens. Should education be a bigger issue in the Williamson County mayor's race?
That's a really good question. I hadn't thought through that. I think the mayor, we really lean on him for financial expertise and where we're directing, and that's a big part of education, And so I know that I've met with Mary Smith and shared with her, and we've worked together on some of the education things. And it's fun, talking about ideas. And she's come up with some ideas, and I'm like, well, Mary, that's great. And so, but I'm excited for whomever wins. But I want to work with the mayor and of course Jason.
I think the term the school board has used, growth has flattened. We haven't had to build a school. Now, we've taken to renovating them, which is good business. Sometimes making them larger. We haven't had to buy nearly as much land for schools. I don't think it's going to stay flat much longer. I guess 3 out of the 4 years you've been on the school board, you haven't had to spend all that time in building schools. What have you spent time on? I know in the news it's cell phones.
Right.
Or in the news it's walkouts. Well, there's a whole lot more to being a school board member than dealing the issue of the day.
Right. And so, like, for example, you brought up the cell phone policy. And when that came along, there's a lot of data showing, the detriments of being on cell phones. So we went forward with a policy to ensure that students don't have their phones during instruction time. And so, but there was put forth an amendment to the policy or an adjustment to the policy where students wouldn't have their phone all day. And that was a very big hot topic. And so what I did was I went to the schools and I talked to the principals. So I went to Franklin High, went to Brentwood High during their lunchtime and just talked to Dr. Pantel and the Brentwood High principal. And I talked to them the whole lunch and watched the kids. And what I found is that the high school kids are doing better jobs than us adults. I see us adults at lunch and we're all, as my kids call it, doom scrolling. But the kids were really engaged at lunch. And every once in a while they check something and put their phone back down. And so, and I also, when that was going on, I listened to my community. And I found that parents really want to be able to have that lifeline with their kids at lunch so they can say, don't pick up Sally at middle school. She's staying after for, XYZ. But parents really didn't. Parents wanted their kids to have their phone at lunch so they could check in on family errands or whatever. But again, I found that kids were really engaging face to face, and that's what we want to see.
Not only are we getting a new mayor, we're getting a new chairman of the county commission. We're getting a new school board chairman. Would you like to be school board chairman?
I will say this. Josh has done a phenomenal job. And I like being behind the scenes working. I don't think I'm going to seat chairman because, if my colleagues really push me for that, then I would. But, right now, Dr. Reeves is our vice chair. So she may be, but the chairman does have a lot of important roles. And I will say that as a school board member, I have taken time. I have time to do a thorough job. This is really a full-time job for me. So I have loved plugging in, but I like to be behind the scenes working for our district. One of the things I enjoy doing is going down to the Cordell Hall and talking to my lawmakers and advocating for, policies that will help our district.
Good luck to you.
Thank you.
Corey Martin, a Republican, a Democrat, an independent, what is?
Yeah, that's a good question. I'm running as an independent this time around, and that is due to a bunch of different things. Mostly because I want to be able to work with whatever board members end up being elected. And I don't want to have to be beholden to a partisan political platform. I want to be able to see decisions that need to be made. I want to be able to look at the facts and make decisions based on what's in front of me, what my constituents tell me they feel needs to happen in our school systems, and what ultimately is best for our students, regardless of what a partisan platform says.
Do you have children in the system?
I do. Thank you so much for asking. So I have called Williamson County home for over 20 years. My wife was raised here, and she's a graduate of Brentwood High School. And when we were looking to put down roots, we chose Williamson County in large part because of the excellent school systems that our daughters are now a part of. And so my oldest is in 4th grade right now at Grassland Elementary School. And since she started there, I have volunteered weekly at the school, and I've gone to the school board meetings regularly for the past at least 4 years. And I even started a blog to inform the community of what was going on in the school district. So I've been fairly involved.
Why is only one incumbent running?
Why is only one incumbent running? Well, I think you'd have to take it case by case. I know there are 3 folks who are deciding not to run who've been there for more than a decade. So it makes sense to me. I know in at least a couple of cases, their kids are getting older and getting close to, if not aged out of the school system. So it kind of makes sense for those folks. And there are a couple of stumpers for me, honestly, that I was surprised to find weren't running again.
What is the school board doing right? What is the school board doing wrong?
Yeah, good question. So I think the school board is doing a good job of compensating our teachers and our staff well. There's obviously always improvement to be made there. One thing that I would like to focus on as a priority of mine when I get on the board is to work on recruitment and retainment of excellent teachers and staff for Williamson County Schools. And part of that certainly is compensation. But another big part of that is culture, right? And I'd love to give you an example of what I'm talking about.
Please do.
Yeah, last year, the board went through the science textbook curriculum process, right? Where they had to, every 8 years, they have to re-up their science textbook curriculum. And there were a bunch of teachers and administrators and parents who got together in a bunch of committees to review all these textbooks, spent lots of hours and days going over this stuff, gave their recommendation to the board, and the board ignored their recommendation and decided to choose a textbook curriculum that was the least recommended option. And there were hundreds of emails that poured into the board in the wake of that from parents and teachers and everybody, and wanting to know why they did this and would you please reconsider. And there was one email that stood out to me from a teacher that said, if you are wondering why it's hard to retain or recruit teachers, look exactly at this science textbook process. So I would love to bring to the board a respect for our teachers and our staff's expertise and acknowledge their recommendations and try to restore some culture of respect for our educators.
Evaluate the superintendent,
Yeah.
Jason Golden.
Yeah.
You have one employee.
That's right.
He has several thousand.
That's right.
But you have one.
Yeah, that's right.
So evaluate the superintendent.
For sure, yeah. So I think overall, high level, I believe he's doing a good job. There are some things that I would like to nudge him one direction or another, specifically when he receives feedback from the board that is blaming front office for certain things that have happened that are not front office's fault. I wish that he would stick up for his front office a little bit more. But he's in a tough spot right now, as maybe you know, maybe you don't, but his every year they vote on whether to extend his contract one more year, right? He started out with a 4-year deal, and every year they voted to whether or not to extend him one more year. And last year they did not vote because he did not request an extension. And at the time, he said that that was not an indication that he was on his way out, that he would request an extension at some point. But that was an indication to me that that he feels not comfortable with the current. Comfortable may be the wrong word, but he wanted to push that down the road and see if there would be a different decision later on. So, like I said, high level, I believe he's doing a good job.
What do you do for a living?
I'm a software developer.
Oh, that sounds fascinating.
It is fascinating, and that's a level of expertise that I would like to bring to this job as well. One thing that I'm really passionate about is making sure that our students are prepared for the future. Obviously, we are training the workforce of tomorrow, and I, as a software developer, use artificial intelligence in my job every day. And if I didn't know how to use those tools, I would not last long in my job right now. And so I would love to bring my subject matter expertise to the board to help make the district better. Our current AI policy is the bare minimum of what the state requires, and it's focused on guardrails. It's focused on data privacy and academic integrity and application approval, which are all essential and very, very important guardrails. But guardrails are not a strategy. We need a strategy so that we can prepare our students with AI literacy, with prompt engineering, with machine learning. We need to be training these students so that they can contribute to the workforce day one.
Why is the average 7th grader more prepared for AI than this 75-year-old?
Well, I think it's moving so fast that it's sometimes hard to keep up. Especially, I've noticed, I'm not in my 70s, I'm in my 40s, but even still, I've noticed that it is becoming more and more difficult to rest on your laurels and base what you're doing tomorrow on what you've done today. That's not going to work.
Williamson County is said to have the best school system in Tennessee. But you look at salary classifications, we're at 5th, 6th, 7th.
Yeah.
What gives?
Well, it comes down to the TISA formula, right? I mean, it's the state of Tennessee has the formula that they use to determine how much each district is able to pay into their school system. And they've determined that according to that formula, we should be able to be contributing more locally than other districts. And funnily enough, back before Williamson County was the Williamson County that it is today, we were part of the initiative to make that TISA funding the way it is. And it helped us at the time, and now it's hurting us on the other side. So the idea is that we would need more local funding from our local government in order to be able to boost those salaries up to be competitive with our neighbors. Either that or a change at the state level to the TISA funding.
So I should be taking this complaint to my county commissioner or my state representative?
I think both. Yeah, absolutely. Okay. Yeah. So I think so. There's been some good conversations with Jack Johnson specifically. He's been taking this up, and there was some initiative just this past year in the legislative session to have more funding based on outcomes, and that helped Williamson County a little bit. It wasn't very much, but it was something. And we're certainly appreciative of those efforts.
School board is big on policies.
Big on policies.
Policies for almost everything.
It's true.
What role do you want to play in the development of school board policy?
Well, like I said, the AI policy is my number one top priority as far as policy is concerned. But I would say the bullying aspect of what's been going. I've been a part of a nonprofit over the past year that has been really focusing on the bullying problem in Williamson County schools. And so that's something I'd really like to take a look at as well.
Williamson County does an excellent job in special education.
That's true.
Special education is regulated much more than just plain old-fashioned, almost said birds and the bees, but
general education. Sure.
It's so regulated that if a special ed child, mainstreamed, presents a problem, the child can't be taken out of the class. The class has to be taken out of the class.
Right.
What can we do about that?
Well, that's not 100% true, right? It's certainly true in some cases, right? It has to do with the individual education program for the
IEP.
The IEP, right? So if the child's IEP specifies that they are to remain in a general education classroom, then what you said is correct. And what can be done about it? I mean, that is a federal statute that is protected by the federal government. So if their IEP specifies that they need to be in the general classroom, then that's going to happen. That it would be breaking a federal law to do otherwise. So what can be done about it? What can be done about it is the IEP team, which is made up of the parents of the student and the administrator and teacher.
The front office.
And the front office. Absolutely.
To.
Yes, absolutely. They can get together and decide if there needs to be a change for the benefit of that student. But it needs to be for the benefit of that student, because that's the I in IEP, right? That's the individual. So yes, there is friction to that situation for sure, and it comes down to trying to meet the needs of each individual student as best as possible.
Nobody's phone rings more than a school board member's. You ready for that?
Absolutely, sir. I'm ready. Yeah, I can't remember if I mentioned this already, but I've been on multiple boards over the past few years. I was on the nonprofit that I mentioned earlier, on my neighborhood HOA board. I was on the church leadership for the church that we attend. So I'm familiar with folks contacting me about decisions that have been collaboratively made and trying to explain the reasoning behind them as best as possible.
Are Williamson County schools safe enough?
Williamson County schools are safe. Yes, absolutely. We have SROs in every school, and student resource officers who are there to protect the schools. We have safety measures that keep increasing every day. Our head of security, Fletch, is top of the game, and yes, they're safe.
Who's Fletch?
He's the head of security. I'm sorry.
He's legendary.
Yeah, yeah, that's right.
If you know anything about Williamson County schools, you know Mr. Fletch.
Absolutely. He knows what he's doing.
I think I'm fresh out of questions.
Oh.
Is there a point you wanted to make?
Well,
right now you've got about 60 seconds.
Well, I would say one of the main reasons I'm running for this seat is because I believe it should be held by somebody with skin in the game, somebody with kids in the schools. And I want to bring that parent's voice to the board, which is sorely underrepresented right now.
What about taxpayers? Do taxpayers get a member of the board too?
Absolutely. I'm a taxpayer as well.
That's right. Now, most parents are.
That's right.
Most parents are.
That's right.
I appreciate your time. What are you doing to get elected? And you've got about 20 seconds to answer.
Well, I'm getting the word out. I'm talking to my kids' friends' parents and trying to spread the word as much as possible. Obviously, it's a summer election, so turnout's going to be key.
Good luck to you.
Thank you, Mr. Lawrence.
Thank you, sir.